you very much for joining the live stream or for watching the recording. Today is your favorite Q&As, ask me questions. Ask me questions. Yeah, if you ask me statements, that will be a bit weird. So ask me questions and I'll be happy to answer them. Anything about Czech immigration, visas, residence permits, permanent residency, citizenship, starting a business in the Czech Republic through a trade license, SRO, limited liability companies. Ask me about accommodation, finding long-term accommodation in the Czech Republic, buying the property, although I have some limitations there because we have a partner we work with on such cases, like buying properties for our clients. Ask me anything about health insurance. I can tell you a lot there. So anything you might be interested in knowing about the Czech Republic and moving here, living here, please shoot. And I'll be yours for the next 20 or so minutes. Indrajit, hello Jan, hello Indrajit, thank you for joining. Then thank you all guys for joining, 7 people. And yeah, if you're wondering, this is my new haircut. I also have the green color on my head, which is good. I think it suits my face. So yeah. Is studio not eligible for housing in visa application? It is. You can use a studio. It just must be a real studio. Yeah, so studios are okay. Of course, it depends kind of if you are applying yourself. Or if you're applying like with a family of 10 people, then that would be different, obviously. But generally speaking, a studio is completely fine as long as you can get all the documentation you need and as long as the studio is really an apartment, because often studios are... because ministry has raised questions for single individual, kind of depends. If it was a real place where the person was living and it was like a real studio, he had a lease agreement or that person had a lease agreement, there should be no problem at all. If it was a different situation, like a virtual proof of accommodation, that might be different because there might be another like 200 people already registered in the apartment. If it was like an atelier, we call it atelier, which is technically not a living space. It's more like where painters used to live, like where they were like painting in the past, and it's officially not suitable for living. So if that was the case, then obviously the person could not live there, but generally a studio is fine. Ataur Rahman, hey Atta, thank you for joining. Lvardi DZA, Algeria, I guess. What are the partnership agreements for a person who wants to stay with a woman without marriage? Because many people ask me about that. Honestly, I'm not sure if we have anything official like that, like common household or anything like that. You can definitely go to a notary and like write some agreement or speak with a lawyer that is specialized in this kind of law, and they will definitely tell you better. I don't think we have anything else than marriage and registered partnership, so like heterosexual couples and gay couples. But if you just want to live together, not getting married, not getting registered, I'm not aware of any official solution you could have, but definitely either a notary or a lawyer specialized in this kind of law can prepare some kind of contract or some kind of like documents. So at least like the dividing your assets or stuff like that. The Max, hello, that's a familiar nickname. So welcome. Ryan Coates, I'm about to apply for student visa. Can you tell me what should I focus on to get the visa? Okay, we've just published an article called 4 Easy Steps to Get a Visa in the Czech Republic. So you can go see that, read that. We have some tips there, but generally speaking, definitely you should have all the documents and they must be perfect. That's like that we should not be even talking about that because that's kind of like what you must have, but you would be maybe surprised how many applications are submitted incomplete or are not submitted because people are missing the criminal background check, the PCC or stuff like that. So have everything, have it perfectly prepared. Second, have a straight story. For students, they question your motivation a lot. So if there are any questions about or any concerns maybe, or any like possible concerns about your reason to move to the Czech Republic, that could endanger your application very much. And then also get prepared for the immigration interview, because they will ask you a lot of questions about your university, why you chose this program and not some other program in some other country, what exactly you will be studying, who will be your professors, where the school is located, where your accommodation is located. They will ask you a bunch of questions, so you should be prepared for those as well. If you want to know more about the questions, I've done a video about that, so just click somewhere, get to my channel, search for it, and you'll find more of the questions they ask in the video. Ataur Rahman, sorry I'm mispronouncing all your names, guys. What is the solution of less visa appointment slots in Czech embassy and more applicants from Asian countries, especially Pakistan? Choose a different country. No other solution. The max, Czech Republic immigration, very, very hard. Very, very, very hard. Which other country is much easier in professional opinion? Kind of depends, I would say, where are you from and why are you moving? But I would generally say Poland would be easier, and then Spain and Portugal. But it depends. Like if you're white American and have enough money, Spain, perfect. If you're black, not American, black African, let's say, I hope this is not like offending or anything, I'm just saying how it is, then your chances, whatever visa you want to apply for will be like very limited. So it's just generally depends on what country you're from, generally depends on what you want to do here and how you can explain it. But I would say Poland potentially, and then Spain, Portugal, because they have also kind of weird visa options, like buy a property, get a visa, so might be a good place to look into it. Wasim Yahumi, ahoy Jan, ahoy, thank you for joining, my friend. Do you help students to find cheaper rent? Well, not really. We just work with what is on the market. Let me put it this way. And if your budget is 12,000 crowns, there's nothing on the market for 12,000 crowns. So we cannot really like help you find anything. If your budget is 12,000 crowns, then look for a room in a shared accommodation or look for a dormitory stay. If you're a student, stay at the dormitory. That would be my advice if you don't want to pay much for accommodation. Obviously, that has downsides like infections and like a million other people living with you, but it's cheap as fuck. So you need to decide, do you prefer like cheap, then stay at the dormitory, or do you prefer some like quality of living, but then be prepared to pay the market prices? I would put it like this. This live stream today has high chances of being offensive to so many people. I've already could have offended so many of you. Sorry, guys. Indrajit, I have applied for an appointment for consultation with you, although still no one has come back for me to date and time with me. If you please give your precious time and leave in Prague only. Of course, also please check your email, check your spam folder, because sometimes our emails go to spam. So if it takes too long before you hear from someone, it's possible that the email is there, but somewhere else than your main inbox. Is it mandatory to have a good level of Czech to get permanent residence in Czechia after spending 5 years as employee? Well, it depends on what you mean by good level, because you need to pass A2 level exam. And in my opinion, A2 after 5 years is not really a good level. It's like a very lazy level, I would say. I of course understand it, that if you work in a team where you speak English and then you live in Prague, so you can actually get by with English as well, you don't have much of a motivation, but that's the thing. You don't have the motivation and you are not learning. But if you're learning for 5 years, if you spend do 1 hour a week or 1 lesson a week of Czech, and after 5 years, you've taken 5 times 52, so 250 lessons, and then don't tell me that after 250 lessons, you will not speak at least A2 level Czech. So you need to pass A2 level exam, which I would not say is too high. Ryan Coates, thank you so much. My pleasure. Basantagarti, same for Nepal. I'm not sure what you mean, but if it's the appointment dates, yes, that's the same there, because everyone from Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India, they need to apply in India, so that's the same situation. Pakistan, yeah, that's the same situation with appointments as well. I'm from Nepal. I've been applying for the last 5 months for a student visa, but couldn't get visa. Interview appointment date at the Czech embassy in New Delhi. The slots are always full. Yeah, that happens. There are ways you can influence that. But yeah, it's difficult, and not everyone will get an appointment, because imagine there are 25 appointments every month for students or something like that, and there are 200 people applying. 25 versus 200, you have 1 in 4 chance that you will get an appointment. The next time from India but living in France, trying for work in Central European or Eastern European countries, since Western Europe job market is oversaturated and Poland visas have become tough for Indians. Okay, that's good to share knowledge here as well, so thank you. Anthony, I got a Czech work permit, salary is 30,000 crowns, is good or bad? It depends on the job, I would say, and depends on where you will be living, and it also depends on what else will be covered by your employer. And another thing is, if you can ever use the work permit, which you probably mean employment contract, to apply for any type of visa, because if you're from India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, around there, you will most likely never get even an appointment. So 30,000 crowns does not really matter, because you will never get the salary at all. But if you get here 30,000 crowns gross, I think, if it's in your contract, that will be maybe 26 net. Nothing much. I've done a video where I talk about what is a good salary for Prague. So if you go to my channel and search for a good salary or salary Prague or something like that, check it out. Honestly, 30,000 crowns is, in my opinion, nothing really. If you need to pay for your accommodation, if your employer provides accommodation, then yeah, that might be okay. But imagine you pay 20,000 crowns for your accommodation for a studio, then you're left with 6,000 crowns. You will not even pay your phone bills and tram tickets for that. So if you find a very cheap accommodation, or you'll be living for free through your employer, might be okay. If not, I would say that's gonna be very difficult. Osim Yahumi, is it easy to find part-time job in Prague without having a strong level in Czech language? I would say, first of all, I'm not specialized in helping finding jobs to people. So what I say is just my opinion, a immigration specialist opinion, or Jan as a person, but not a professional opinion in finding jobs. But in my opinion, it depends on what you're bringing to the market. If you're a software developer, yeah, probably you will find a job easily, even without Czech language. If you don't have anything specific, any special experience, knowledge, education, anything like that, then you will be competing for jobs in restaurants, KFC, McDonald's, or some fashion stores or whatever for part-time jobs, and that's kind of like you need Czech there because you will be greeting people, and that's Czech people as well. So depends on what you're bringing to the table, in my opinion. Let's go crazy. Is there some exemption for someone who has dyslexia? I guess that's a question regarding the Czech language exam. Not sure if dyslexia counts, but there are exceptions. Well, first of all, I believe you are an EU citizen. Because I believe we exchanged some emails based on your social media handle. So as an EU citizen, you don't need to pass the language exam at all. So you're good. But as a non-EU citizen, there are some exceptions, like if you're below 15 or above 60, or if you have some physical or mental condition that prevents you from learning languages. Honestly, I would not say that dyslexia is one of them. But I don't know. You need to get some confirmation from a doctor saying, okay, this condition prevents them from learning, and then maybe there would be an exception. But anyway, for EU citizens, you don't need to pass any language exams, so you're good. The Max, would Czech Republic ever introduce Jobseeker visa for people with degree obtained in other countries like Germany's opportunity card? Well, never say never, because a couple years ago I would tell you that Czech Republic will never introduce the digital nomad visa, and here we are. That's been running for 2 years. So that's a question I cannot answer. We'll see. My opinion is that no, not in the near future, because they make it complicated even for people who already have jobs, who found jobs already, like not being here. So I cannot imagine that they would open the market to like everyone to come here and like just look for a job. So honestly, I don't think so, but I can be wrong. That's not easy for me to say. But I could potentially be wrong, and maybe that will be introduced, but I don't see it very likely. Karel Limsuan, hello, thank you for your work. Any estimates for students' visa approval lodged around July? July is already getting a bit busy because August, September, October are the busiest months of the season. So potentially it could already take longer, but you never know. It depends on where you applied, when your application got to the Czech Republic, which decision maker will be making the decision. So it's never, even if you have two people who apply at the same time at the same embassy, your decision can come weeks apart. So it's not like you apply on the 5th of July, you will be approved by 5th of September. If you apply on the 5th of July, you can be approved like 31st of July, or you cannot be approved in October. So it's very, very difficult to estimate anything. Can I get extension for additional document submission by a ministry as my house owner is on vacation currently? What is the process for it? You can, but you need to send an official letter in Czech to the ministry, like a physical letter where you explain the reasons why you cannot meet the deadline and request them to extend the deadline for a specific amount of time. So it's not like you write a letter in English saying, please give me longer time. That will not work. It must be in Czech. It must specifically say how much time you want, but obviously the time must be reasonable. If they gave you 30 days, you cannot request like 7 months additional. If they gave you a month, then you can request like, it's reasonable to request 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, depending if your landlord is on vacation for a month, okay, makes sense. Request it for 5 weeks, 6 weeks or something like that. But ideally you should have some proof that you sent to the ministry as well. So maybe you exchange messages with your landlord, and he replied, okay, I will be back after this date. So then you request sometime after that date. But definitely you need to send the request before the deadline runs out. Otherwise, Rand codes, is visa card required in student visa in the embassy? Not sure what you mean visa card. Like visa, you mean Visa or MasterCard card? Because if yes, then yes. I don't know if it makes sense. Tawhid Ahmed, Sir, you from? I'm from the Czech Republic. Gamer, sir, how long does it take to get a student visa after the interview, approximately? I hate this question because, as I explained a minute ago, it very much depends and every case is different. But if we stick to the official timelines, for a student visa and student residence permit, the ministry has 60 days to make the decision. Do they stick to it? No. So it can be 3 weeks, it can be 5 months. You never know, but by the law, they have 60 days. If they take longer than 60 days, you can take some action. Jamalu. Hey, why other European temporary residence card holders need 2 years stay to apply for employee card in Czech? Not everyone. Not everyone. It depends on your nationality. For example, Americans, Canadians, Australians, Mexicans, Brazilians, a lot of nationalities, like 50 nationalities, don't need to wait for 2 years. Generally, that applies to people who need a short-term visa to enter the EU or the Schengen space. So if you need a short-term visa to enter the country, then you need to be there for at least 2 years to apply. If you don't need a short-term visa, if you have the visa-free stay, you don't need 2 years. And the reason why is it so? I would say that you see that it's very difficult to get to the Czech Republic through India because there are no appointments, but you know that it's very easy to get to Poland, so you get a Polish visa and then immediately move to the Czech Republic. That would be abuse in the system, and I guess that's the main reason. Again, my estimate. Demex, what are other ways to easily move to Czech? I already answered that before reading the rest. No easy ways to move to the Czech Republic. Other than student, because I already have an EU master's degree in France and doing another one. Czech wouldn't make sense for my professional career now. Marry an EU person who will move with you to the Czech Republic. That would be potentially an easy way. Other than that, nothing's really easy. You always need to have a reason to be in the Czech Republic. So if you want to move for employment, you first need to find a job. If you want to move here for business, you first need to have the business. So nothing really easy. Frederick Ismail Oba, hi, how many years do we need to spend after getting the PR? And is there any language level mozekwe after getting the PR or to get the PR? Because to get the PR, it's 5 years in most cases. For students, it's longer. For family members of EU citizens, it's shorter, but generally 5 years. And yes, there is a A2 level requirement for the permanent residency. Sportaholic, what is the chances for family reunification visa under direct residence permit? Family reunification generally is pretty safe, but what the ministry started doing recently is that they started denying applications where the couple has not been living together for 2 years or longer. So if you've been here for 2 years, your spouse is in some other country and you haven't visited each other much, maybe like once in 2 years or something, potentially you can get denied for the ministry thinking that you're not really a couple, because if you really loved each other, you would probably want to see each other more than once in 2 years. So that could be a problem. But if you've just moved here and your spouse is applying, or if you visit each other regularly, that's generally pretty safe as long as you have all the documents and they are correct. This is Korean, I think. I cannot read that, so hello, Korean. Suleiman Aval. Good evening, sir. Good evening, Suleiman. Atta, can Ministry of Interior Czechia help solve a visa appointment issue if we file a petition from students who are waiting for students' visa appointments? I know people waiting for 2 years. Honestly, tell me, why are you waiting 2 years? That's kind of obvious that you should try some other country after 2 years of waiting. So that's one thing to say. But honestly, the Ministry of the Interior sets the rules. So I don't think there is any chance you will change that if you say, hey, there are not enough appointments, give us more appointments. This is not something, you look at it from your perspective that, okay, you want to study in the Czech Republic, it's been taking long to get an appointment, that's not good for you. But the Czech government doesn't look at that like that. There are like plenty other reasons why they do it. Say, for example, we want to punish India for something. The easiest way to do it, ban visas for Indian citizens. Maybe India will change their mind and they will behave differently. India just an example, but generally like how politics works. There is a risk. Honestly, if we talk about India, there are plenty of Indians who abuse the system, who know that they cannot get an employee card because there are no appointments, so they apply for student visas, and as soon as they come to the Czech Republic, they switch from student visas to employment. And although they think how like clever this is, the ministry sees that there is some delay, but then the ministry will make it complicated also for students, because they know that out of 100 students, 50 of them are not really students. They're just trying to get here and start working. So it's kind of complicated. So I don't think that that will change anytime soon. Jamalu, I have Latvian student D visa and TRC, but not staying here 2 years. I have work contract and everything, but resident embassy rejecting me for 2 years rule. Yeah, that's how it should be. Yeah, if you haven't been here for more than 2 years, you cannot apply. Babaria Jalpan, I've applied for long-term student visa with my sister and we both are waiting for decisions. Does this give us more chance to be approved as we applied as siblings? I don't think so. I don't see any reason why that should be an advantage. Frederick Ismail Oba for the citizenship, So generally citizenship you can apply for after 5 years of having the PR or after 10 years of living here altogether and having a PR. So for example, students can get PR after 10 years because all student years count as half. So basically, as soon as they get PR, they can apply for citizenship because they have also been here for 10 years already. So either 5 years of permanent residency or 10 years in total. And yes, there is B1 language level and there is also Czech history level. You don't need to pass those if you've studied Czech program in Czech language. I got accepted into a PhD program program in Plzeň, and I can't find any studio or 1+ KTA. Is it usually hard to find one? And also, can I do a part-time job with my long-term student visa when I finish my PhD hour? So working, yes, if you get a student visa or student residence permit, you can work. So you can work. I guess that answers the question. As for finding accommodation, that's generally difficult for everything. And studios are the most wanted apartments because they're the cheapest. So you beat the biggest competition there. Another thing though is I understand it the way that you're not here yet. And in that case, your chances of finding a place to live in the Czech Republic, if you're not here, are like 5% maybe, I would say. Because imagine you own an apartment. Then you have a line of 20 Czech people in your apartment, visiting the apartment, you speak with them, you communicate with them, they're all ready to take the apartment, move in, pay your deposit, sign the contract today, move in tomorrow. And then someone from Korea says, hey, I need to apply for a visa. I don't know if I will be approved and when I will be approved, and I cannot really go visit the apartment. I cannot even send you the money immediately. It will take 3 days before it arrives. And as for the contract, I can only sign it electronically. Do you want me as a tenant? Who would you choose? Jamalu, how did you get the job? I've tried. Okay, that's a question for Jamalu. Shared knowledge and information. Hello, sir. Embassy is not given appointment and my fee is freeze in the university. How can I get it back? Any idea? Speak with the school ideally or read the contract you definitely signed before you paid the money. That would be my recommendation. Check the contract and see what it says about refunding. Frederick, think why? UMC. I don't know what it means. Thank you, probably, but not sure. Need 2 years stay in European country, I have company contract, how can I contact you? La la la. Egon, hello Mr. Jan. So let's do this as the last question because it's past 10, which is past my bedtime. So Egon will be the last question I answer. And yeah, true, thank you for the insights. You're welcome. Sorry for not having better news. I usually just say things as they are or as I see them. No bullshit and no sugarcoating. So Egan, the last question I'll answer, then I'll go to sleep. Hello, Mr. Jan. I got my visa after 42 days. Congratulations. I really do appreciate your videos. They were quite helpful during my visa process. Happy to hear that, guys. See, this is the best advertisement for the channel. So if you haven't yet, like, subscribe, comment, recommend my channel to other people you know that it might be useful for, and come back for the next live streams. Okay, guys, thank you very much for being here today, for watching, and good night, good day, whatever is in the country where you're located now, and I will see you again Monday, Thursday, until the end of the world. Bye bye, guys. See you.